Welcome inside Dingers and Dashers. It is Thursday night, 8:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Adam, mark the day in your calendar. Thursday, January 22nd, the day that Mackenzie Gore was no longer a national.
Wow, wow, wow. We knew that we had to make a quick episode, a special episode for you guys. We're here to answer all your questions about this crazy Mackenzie Gore trade news and what's to come. We're going to break down the trade. We're going to give you guys some information on what we think is going to happen after this trade, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's gonna be definitely the start of a new era for Nationals fans here. Obviously, ushering in a new front office this season, but now losing your most formidable name or one of your most formidable names and a piece of the Soto trade also that you've now traded away. And I'm not saying that's a bad trade. I'm just saying it's definitely a new era and probably a bittersweet day for Nats fans because there's a lot of upside to this trade, but it's also one of our favorite players going.
Yeah, this trade is very fascinating, Josh, to say the least. A lot going on in this trade. We're going to break it down for you guys right here. I want to start off. The Nationals traded Mackenzie Gore, who had 2 years left on his contract, and the reason that we believe that they traded Mackenzie Gore was they don't believe that they're gonna win with him on the team. In the future, they're planning more for like a 2028, 2029 playoff run and not currently 2026, 2027. They don't believe that the team is built right now with Mackenzie Gore to win. And they don't believe that they're going to be able to re-sign him, I guess, after that. So that's the reason they were so key on trading him. And in the package in return, the Nationals received five prospects, five of the Rangers' top 18 prospects. One of them including Gavin Fine, the Rangers' number 3 prospect in their farm system. He was the number 12 overall pick in last year's draft out of high school. They also got Devin Fitzgerald, a good shortstop, the Rangers' number 8 prospect. Alejandro Rosario, a right-handed pitcher, the Rangers' number 13 prospect. Your Yeremy Cabrera, an outfielder, the Rangers' number 14 prospect, and Abimelech Ortiz. I don't know what prospect. He was a top 18 prospect as well.
Yeah, and so
First baseman, yeah.
obviously we're getting a good haul and a good return. Last year's number 16 overall pick. That's big to get on a
12,
team
12.
that's looking. Oh, sorry, last year's 12th overall pick, even better, especially for a team who's looking to turn to its youth. And we heard Paul Taboni come in, the Nats' new president of baseball operation or general manager, sorry. And he came in, and the first thing he said was, "We're building a scouting and development monster because the only way to become a good base, sorry, reading the chat here from Ethan Binovich, to become a good baseball club is you need to have depth." And I'm not talking about we have 2 first basemen at the big league level. No, we need to have players down in the farm systems who are able to come up, carry the load, and continue this cycle of we got young players, we got older players, and I think that this is a solid move from the Nats, but I think that there could also be some potential downsides to it as well. So I'm gonna get in first to a downside, and this isn't saying it's a bad trade, but I'm saying a downside to this trade is the Nats might be a little bit less competitive, at least at the outset this year, and after a step back in the rebuild last season. I could understand some fans saying, okay, well, here's one more reason why I shouldn't watch the Nats this year. Here's one more reason that they're going to give up a lot of runs in these games. And I think that is a potential negative implication that the front office had in mind when they made this trade.
Yeah, before we talk about the implications of this trade, I want to break down the trade a little bit for some fans who don't know much about any of these players or anything that just happened. Because the Nationals traded one player, a player right now who's a rotation pitcher, probably number 2 guy for the Rangers, number 3, for 5 prospects who are unproven. These guys are all minor league guys. So
Sounds familiar.
it does sound familiar. The only difference with this, they didn't trade Juan Soto, so they weren't getting a Juan Soto package. However, they got a lot of depth with this package. I did a lot of reading after I saw Mackenzie Gore get traded, and the Nationals, instead of going to get one of the top prospects, instead of going to get an elite player, someone who's right now going to be elite, they went for depth. They went for quality over quantity in a sense. I mean, no, sorry, quantity over quality in a sense. They got 5 guys, 5 very solid guys that they saw that they liked. Devin Fitzgerald, somebody who isn't like the most um, well-known player, well-known prospect, but somebody the Nats saw in their system. They really liked him. Gavin Fine, obviously the number one guy this haul, but it's a little surprising the Nats didn't go out and get somebody maybe a little bit more higher up in the prospect rankings, because they left out. The Rangers did not trade their number one hitting prospect, their number one pitching prospect, or their number one reliever prospect either. So it's a little bit surprising. And I know that the Rangers were not going to trade Sebastian Walcott, their number one prospect, one of the top shortstop prospects in the league right now. But the Nats went and got their second guy, their second best shortstop prospect, and
absolutely surprising.
Really fascinating, interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so Stutter Step 11 here has honestly got more for him than I thought they would. And I understand that to an extent. You know, it's Mackenzie Gore had a pretty bad second half. Pretty bad is a compliment, honestly. He had an abysmal second half of the season. But this is a new opportunity for him. And I wouldn't be shocked if, come opening day, he's back in his form. But what I do want to talk about is you were mentioning the prospect rankings and how you were a little surprised at the number of prospects. I understand that prospect rankings are important and true to an extent. Like James Wood and C.J. Abrams were top prospects. Look at them now. But at the same time, Dalen Lyle, who had a breakout year this year, was a nobody. Brad Lord, who got 5th in NL Rookie of the Year voting, he was drafted in the 30th round, and he wasn't even playing baseball in the offseason. He was working at Home Depot. So what I'm saying is, it's definitely like, okay, sure, we would have loved to get the number one guy, but that also doesn't really matter to me, and especially with this Nats organization saying that the direction they're moving in is a lot of development. It's okay. You don't have to go out and sign the best players, because I think that the front office is confident that they can go out and sign good baseball players and then turn them into elite baseball players.
Yeah, I'm just saying, only my surprise with what the Nats did is they went for quantity over quality. Instead of getting one top guy, they went and got five solid prospects. I mean, some being better than others. Obviously, Gavin Fine, the top of that prospect haul, but a little bit surprising they didn't go and try to target one of the top guys, one of the top prospects in the league, for Mackenzie Gore, who obviously was one of the biggest trade targets going into this offseason.
Absolutely, and yeah, there is some surprise, but I think for some people, they think that the Rangers completely won this trade because the Rangers who showed signs of being able to compete this year or now have another piece to their puzzle that they can compete. But in the end, I think that the Nats kind of did, well, it's too early to call, but I'm happy with the return the Nats are getting. It looks like Danny Levine, 404 in the chat, hello to you, says it's a mini Juan Soto deal. And I think that's actually pretty accurate to an extent, right? And I think the most special part of it is, look, for maybe anyone who wasn't following the Nats back in 2022, Juan Soto, franchise player. You go down and you get five or six players. You get Abrams, Gore, Wood, Hassel, Susana.
Josh, just not to interrupt you here, but the Nats got those 5 guys, and now they're trading them away, Josh. So they're just recycling players. And if you go for, I'm not saying I don't like the deal. I actually do like the haul that we got. But if you just recycle players and go and get prospects deep in the future, you're risking that recycle back and forth, because you're not going to be getting better year after year. You'll be getting better maybe in 3 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and where I would object to that is I understand, but I don't really see it as a recycle thing. Here's how I see it. You go and you trade Soto. All right, he's gone. You get 5 players in return. You trade 1 and get another 5, and you still have 4. So you went from 1 player to 4 years later, 9 players with a lot of potential in the big leagues. And on top of that, Gore is the one to trade. If they traded James Wood, C.J. Abrams, I would have gone ballistic. But because it's Gore, and I'll let you jump in here, but in a sec. But because it's Gore, because the Nats aren't going to be competing for the next year or two. And here's the thing. Maybe we flip him at the deadline. What if the market's not really buying at the deadline this year? Wait till next offseason. What if there's a lockout? Because that could be happening too. So I really think that this is when to capitalize on Gore and recycle him to that extent.
Are you not scared that CJ Abrams isn't next? Because I personally, seeing what the Nats just did, going for quantity, I believe that CJ Abrams is the next player to be traded, and I'm not going to argue with it the way that they just because basically they're giving up on the next 2 years. I'm not saying I'm not saying they're totally giving up, but they're like we're not winning a World Series in the next 2 years. They're giving up. They're basically giving up. They traded Mackenzie Gore. They traded for guys. None of these guys, Josh, will be playing in the next 2 seasons.
That is true. That is true. And if one does, it'll be in September when it's garbage time, if
Yeah.
they even play. It's not going to be to compete. But again, Mackenzie Gore, great pitcher. Did he win the Nats games this year?
First half.
5.
First half of the season.
He had 5 wins. And I
Yeah.
understand that the Nats had insufficient run support when he pitched. Statistically, that's true. What I'm saying is, sure, this is the Nats showing we're in a little bit of a selling mood, but it's not giving up past what they already are capable of, if that makes sense. It's not saying, you know what, we could have competed, but we're not going to take the chance. They were never going to compete with even with Mackenzie Gore on this team. And it's tough because sports is a mix of business and passion, right? It's our hearts, but it's a business at the end of the day. It's what's the best thing for our business. And when you invest money, you don't get it back right away. You lose money. Money comes out of your bank account. But then you hope that the market's stable enough to bring it back in.
Yeah, another sign that I think Abrams could be dealt here is that we just went maybe not right now in the offseason, but possibly at the trade deadline or even at the end of next season. Yes, if they trade Abrams, they should get a better haul. He's definitely, and I think right now he's probably got. They might want to wait till the trade deadline to trade him. Maybe has a good year that there's a little bit more in the haul there, a little more value on him because right now Abrams is coming. He was coming off a good season, but not like an incredible season for Abrams. But no, I want to go into the reason that I think CJ could be dealt is we got Eli Willis at the draft, a shortstop. We went and got Gavin Fine, who we believe will definitely be a starter. The number 12 pick last season. He's going to end up being a starter in the infield. Gavin Fine, the size will probably move to third base. They're suspecting, so third base, shortstop action right there. You got Eli Willits, Gavin Fine, second base. Right now you lose Garcia, but you got some other prospects that you'll probably throw at second base. I don't see C.J. Abrams moving to second base for the Nationals, or either those two guys moving to second base. So for me right now, C.J. Abrams doesn't fit into the future plan for the Washington Nationals.
Question: why can't C.J. Abrams play second? Curious about that.
Maybe he can, but I don't think that's where the Nats are thinking right now.
True.
I don't think we're thinking we're going to re-sign C.J. Abrams. I think it's more like we're planning for the future with the newer guys, and maybe we'll trade C.J. for more players.
So
but
of
just
that
just
trade,
the vibe, just the vibe I'm getting, I don't see him fitting into the future plan that Taboni has.
Of the trade that they just made, of the Soto trade, James Wood is the number one guy, and he will be the Nat, and the others are expendable. And I see that, and I understand that,
Yeah.
and I don't know if this actually matters, but also James Wood, he's from Rockville, Maryland. Like, it just seems like he's the guy. He's the slugger. Yeah. He's the headliner. He was in the home run derby this year, and that was tough. That was a tough watch, but he's gonna win one day. But
if he wants to.
I just don't think that it's necessarily guaranteed. Like, yeah, Nats are gonna get rid of C.J. Abrams, and obviously there is no guarantees, and it wouldn't shock me if they did.
Yeah.
But the guys you're talking about are coming up in 3 years. The Nats are trying to get better, so I don't think with no plan in place for what comes after Abrams that could take effect in the next couple of years, I just don't see them saying we're trading Abrams unless they trade for the Trey Turner back. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, it's not in the Nats' best interest to move Abrams.
Not Trey Turner. Also, Trey Turner's on like a 10-year contract. That wouldn't make any sense. But no,
it's just an example, shortstop.
More like a Sebastian Walcott kind of player, somebody who's more of a prospect, but coming up maybe this year or next year. Somebody who can replace C.J. Abrams, but actually be on the team in the future when we have guys like Gavin Fine and Eli Willits and James Wood and all these guys that we're planning for in the future. I think maybe that's what they're planning for. Maybe CJ Abrams trade is to get a top guy, and this Mackenzie Gore was to get some quantity, in my opinion.
Definitely. And I see, Danny Levine alluding to the fact that, yeah, Gavin Fiend could be the next Abrams. He's 18. He's in low A. Who knows? Who knows? In 2 years, he could be already into the MLB. In 10 years, he could be playing baseball, in some other league in Japan. But something I see now from Stutter Step, he asks, could you see the Nats making a move at the deadline for a rising star, trading away a guy like Abrams if he's producing and someone else who is producing to a contender? Absolutely, I could see that happening.
That's what I just said. That's what I just said.
Yes, that is exactly what Adam was saying, and I agree with that move. I would not want to see Abrams go right now for another package of prospects. To go back to that investing metaphor, it's diversifying your portfolio. You trade for your prospects. Now you got to look into a new market, right? And so if, let's say, this is a hypothetical, and I'm not saying this would be a great trade for the Nats, but like if we're in some kind of situation where like the Rockies and the Nats, just taking out the trash for each other, so to speak, if they were like, we want CJ Abrams, and maybe we can give you Hunter Goodman, a guy who could turn into a franchise catcher.
I'll take Ethan Holiday.
Yeah, the Nats passed up on him for a reason, though. I'm not saying they I'm sure they would love to have him, but I think compared to what Eli Willis brings to the table, the Nats wouldn't go for someone like Holiday.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they're not going to. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but right now the outfield's looking great. You got Wood, Lyle, Cruz. I'd love to see some progress from Jacob Young because I think he's such a great defensive asset.
I think they're still looking probably for one more power guy in the outfield, maybe a prospect. I think for the future because look, Cruz is a little bit shaky right now. They love Cruz. I love Cruz. I think he's got a lot of potential. I loved him at LSU. He was a great player, and I think Dalen Lyle also can be a great future player. But some of these guys are still a little unproven, and I think they still want a little more depth. Jacob Young's a great defensive player as well. So I do like our outfield. We're building it very well, but I think they're still going to look for one more power guy in the outfield.
Could you see James Wood, I'm not saying next season, but could you see him ever moving to first base? Or Lyle?
It's interesting. I think it's in the Nats' best interest to go and get hitters and then shift your fielding. Because I think James Wood could do that. I mean, he's a tall guy. I bet you he's athletic. I bet you they could move him to first and he'd be just fine.
Because I know Dalen Lyle had all the problems with defense this year, but he's a very athletic guy, and he has the potential to be a great outfielder. So if your outfield of four people playing in the outfield every day was Jacob Young, Dylan Cruz, Robert Hassel, and Dalen Lyle with some work on his game, like you have a lockdown outfield that's just they're not giving up a triple at all that season. You know what I'm saying? And so then you move to your infield. You've got the future coming in with Eli Willits, hopefully producing. I know Danny Levine here said that Gavin Fiend's also a shortstop, but as Adam said, plausible to move him to third. You figure out what's happening at second base. They're
projecting he'll probably move to third base. He's a little too small for short, I think, or his size isn't really short worthy. Maybe not small, I don't know, but they said something about his size not being shortstop worthy.
Yeah, and Danny Levine, I don't think a contender would want Young in the outfield. I don't think that Jacob Young would go to like a playoff bound team this year, which works for me because I love Jacob Young in DC. I think he's great, and I think not just from an on-field standpoint, but I think off the field too. He's someone that fans really can get behind and love. They sing his walk-up song.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's kind of like a Gerardo Parra kind of guy, like a vibes fan kind of guy. And I want to, and as we're going around our positions, who we think will be the guy in the future, I want to say I think we got a bright future in our catching position. Harry Ford, I really like Harry Ford. The number 42 prospect right now. Harry Ford will probably see himself some action for the Nationals this season. I'm really excited to see what we got from him. The Nats really in need of a catcher. Their prospects, I mean, their guys just aren't really panning out right now. We just got rid of Riley Adams, who
wait, what?
You didn't see that?
I did. I mean, here's the thing. When did this happen? Last week?
Surprised.
Did it happen last week?
What then?
Within the last week, did we get rid of Riley Adams?
I think today.
Okay. I don't have a phone. I dropped my phone last week on a carpet, and the whole thing just...
We DFA'd Riley Adams today. Yeah.
Oh, gosh, Riley. The whole thing just the whole thing just went out. So I haven't like had a phone. I haven't really been super up to date. Um, yeah. So
Dude, a lot's
that's kind
happening
of
right now.
sad.
MLB news
Dude,
has been crazy the past week.
here's the worst thing about it. Dick's Sporting Goods still has about 4,000 Riley Adams jersey shirts on their sale rack, and they were on clearance when he was getting reps late in the season. Now that he's not even here, they're gonna be paying you to take that shirt.
Yeah. And speaking of our catching situation, Key Brewery is just, I mean, he's kind of like a Harry Ford kind of pull when we got him.
Yeah,
Not
we
not
got him.
quite on. Yeah, when we
He was
got him. I
terrible in
mean,
the end. Yeah.
he was terrible in the end. He
I mean,
wasn't.
he went on a heater. He hit a
He
homer
did.
in each of the first
He
two
had like a
games,
huge run where he was batting like 400, but like
and then
he
just fell
he's
off.
he's not our guy for the future. It's very clear about that. But
But
yeah,
don't sleep on Drew Millis.
no, don't sleep on Drew Millis. He can be a solid rotation guy, but I really think our future lies with Harry Ford.
Absolutely, I'd love to see that pan out. And ever since Wilson
Yeah.
Ramos, it feels like the Nats haven't found that guy. Matt Wieters didn't work out. I know Suzuki and Gomes, they actually had a really good tandem thing going there in 2019, but then, that ends. And the Nats don't really have someone. That Wilson Ramos Jose Lobaton thing was great in the mid 2000s. And I think that now, Harry Ford for sure is that guy, and I think that the Nats see that. But Drew Millis and Riley Adams were producing by the end of the by the end of last year once they started to get reps. So I'd love to see Riley Adams go to a team, be great. I think even go to I wouldn't wish anyone to go to the Rockies, but even if he went to the Rockies, he get a veteran guy mentoring a guy like Hunter Goodman. Riley Adams still has a place in the MLB. And we got a couple things to respond to, Adam. Should we start right
Yes,
over
let's take a look at
here?
the chat. Let's take a look at the chat.
Right there, the Brady House question. Then we'll get to the Mets takes.
Yeah, I'm gonna address the Brady House.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, Brady House is an interesting situation because
Very.
got a lot of potential, Brady House, and I think I might have also been at his debut. And I love the guy. I liked the pick at the. Actually, I didn't like the pick. I'm gonna be honest. I remember when we selected
Breaking
Brady House.
news: Adam hates Brady House.
Don't hate Brady House. I remember when we picked him. I was like, really, like really, we picked the Brady House. We didn't really need shortstop at the time, and I was
Just
a
to
little
hop
bit
in,
surprised by the pick.
I had the opposite reaction. I started calling my friends, jumping up and down. Oh my God, we're contenders! We're contenders! Because I'm delusional when it comes to the Nats.
But yeah, I mean, he's a tall infielder, tall shortstop, third base, probably where they had him.
Third
Um,
baseman, yeah.
Yeah, third baseman. I mean, he was drafted as a shortstop, but another guy who moves to third base, probably Gavin Fine as well.
Yep.
But yeah, I think we're gonna give him another chance, and he's gonna have to prove himself this year and have a very very good season. But he's really gonna have to prove himself because it's these guys who are just they take too long, and the Nats can't afford to keep guys around and just have them lay around in the sacks. I guess for these next 2 seasons we can because clearly we're planning for the future, and right now I don't know if we're gonna get anybody better than Brady House to replace him right now. So for the next 2 years, I think Brady House's role is safe, but he's gonna have to prove himself to be on the future team.
I'm actually gonna disagree a little bit there. I think that planning for the future doesn't necessarily mean we'll just keep all the bad players on board.
Okay.
Because like they got rid of Mackenzie Gore, one of their best players, they'd have no problem cutting some slack at Brady House. But the thing that I wonder about is on paper, Brady House and Dylan Cruz had an equally productive year. I know Dylan Cruz battled with injury through a lot of the year, but I think but
Sorry,
Brady House.
I saw something in the chat and it just made me laugh.
Carter Keyboom. That's almost offensive to a Nats fan. We can get to that in a second though. But I think that it's interesting that Brady House is such like who is this guy? I hate him. He's on thin ice. And meanwhile, Dylan Cruz had a terrible year, and I know he got a lot of hate for that. But nobody seems to be worried about Dylan Cruz, because he's gonna figure it out. He's a great baseball player, number 2 overall pick.
I'm a little worried, but we'll keep going.
I'm not worried because I think that he had a bad start to the year, a horrible start to the year. He started to figure it out. There were signs, not just like how many times he's getting on base per night, but just his at bats. Then he got hurt for 10 weeks in the middle of the season, I think, and that really just really just derails a season. But I'm not worried.
I'm not worried because not because I don't think Dylan Cruz is good, and not because I don't think he can turn it around. For sure, I think he can. I'm worried because I'm a Nats fan and I've seen prospects, I've seen top prospects in our system just fall out of control year
Yeah.
after year, and it's kind of like, I mean, we had Victor Robles, who was supposed to be like the guy. He was one of the best prospects in the league, Josh. People were talking about him like this is the next Bryce Harper. This guy's going to be incredible. Ended up being Juan Soto instead, so we got bailed out a little bit on that one. But yeah, you got guys.
Yeah, Adam. Now he's getting
and we waited for Victor Robles to finally turn out, and he didn't. And then he goes to the Mariners, and he's a good player.
a great player,
Sorry,
and now he's getting
just frustrating that these guys go on and,
but
and do better things.
there is a fall off to an extent. He's getting thrown out of minor league games for throwing his bat at the pitcher. But going over to the chat with Meats Mats and then Danny, we're gonna get to your comment in just a second. Carter Kieboom.
Kieboom.
It's like that's another one of the top prospects that
Yeah,
fell out.
seriously.
It's like, he was this huge experiment for the Nats, and they were like, "Oh, this is the guy. Everyone get ready." I think his brother Spencer Kieboom was a catcher for the Nats in 2017. Yeah, if you ever try and be like, "Oh, career path, I'm gonna pull a fast one on Josh," Spencer Kieboom, I know him. But it's just the kind of thing where it's like that's just bad from Carter Kieboom, from management. I think the plug should have been pulled way sooner.
Yeah,
And it's kinda
and
sad.
That's my worry. We wait too long on these guys. We waited too long on Victor Robles. We should have. And, he was
No.
feasible. Victor Robles is a different situation. Victor Robles is a little more feasible. But Carter Kieboom, we definitely waited too long. And I think I'm just worried that we're gonna if Dylan Cruz is up a couple of years and he's just feasible, he's okay, and we're gonna wait too long on him and not try to get a
Keibert
better
Ruiz,
replacement.
too, yeah.
Keeper Ruiz. I'm worried maybe Brady House. That's why I'm worried about Brady House a little bit, that we wait too long on these guys, because the Nats have seemed to do that. But it's a new coaching staff. It's a whole new organization. The Nats derooted their coaching staff. They derooted the organization, and it's something new. So I want to see what they do with it. I'm really excited for the future, Josh.
Yeah, and let's dive right into that in a second, but I want to get to this comment right here. Can you briefly say your thoughts on the Mets after getting Bichette, Robert Peralta? I'm not gonna lie. Start of the offseason, I was taking a dump all over the Mets. You know, I was like, what in God's name is, I think Steve Cohen's the one. I was like, what in God's name is happening over in New York? They completely sold at the end of last season, and they're still just selling and terrible, and I was lost. I think I'm a little bit wrong. I think that, like, it was a little concerning. They lost out on Pete Alonso. They trade Nimmo away. They get Marcus Semien, who I'm not convinced that he's better than Nimmo. You know, they lose Edwin Diaz. Oh, God. And we can get to the Dodgers if you guys want to talk about that in a sec, too. But then they go out there and they get Bo Bichette. You know, and forget, Robert Peralta. Just Bo Bichette. I'm like, whoa. That's good right there. But here comes the question, and I wonder if, Danny, you have a thought on this. Bo Bichette, shortstop. Francisco Lindor, shortstop. Francisco Lindor already had issues with Soto, reportedly, this past season. You know, Lindor, it's not just going to be buddy-buddy in that clubhouse. They've got some issues to work out. So what's Bo Bichette's arrival going to do to that clubhouse?
I think Bo said that he was flexible on position. I might be mistaken on that. I think there was an article that came out that Bo was like flexible on it. I think they asked him. But in my opinion for that question, great haul. I love I mean, I don't like to see the Mets do good, but I love what they just did. I mean, it was great. Luis Robert, he's been struggling the past couple seasons, but he has shown he's got a lot of potential. That guy's really, really talented when he wants to play. Freddie Peralta, another great pickup, and Bo Bichette, obviously a great pickup. But yeah, they're saying he'll play third. I think, yeah, Bichette was flexible on that. But the Mets will be the Mets, and they're just not going to win because the Mets are the Mets, man. It's time after time. Guys are probably going to get hurt. I don't want anyone to get hurt. I just want to say that out loud. But someone will probably get hurt in this haul that they just got. And it's sad to see because the Mets will be the Mets, and we need someone to compete with the Dodgers. But I think that's what the Mets are trying to do. But yeah,
look no further than the Red Sox, man. Well, I guess it's different league, but still, I'm not going to talk about the Red Sox tonight. I talk about them so much. But on to that point, also, Luis Angel Acuna going to the White Sox for that Luis Robert trade. I like that a lot too. You know,
I do. That was a
some
great
guys
trade for the
who
White
are
Sox.
lost. Some guys who are just lost in the system need that, and I think that it could provide an opportunity for him. But Bo Bichette playing third, I have no doubt he'll be great. He's a great baseball player, but it's different. It's a different position, and who knows? Let's say he's struggling at third. I'm not hoping he does. I like Bo Bichette as a player, but even though he's flexible in positioning, at the end of the day, an MLB shortstop might want to be an MLB shortstop. So I'm just wondering how that's going to go. But I still think that the Mets, right? Obviously, they're going to sell, but they've got Soto. They've got not Edwin Diaz. They've got Bo Bichette. They've got Francisco Lindor. They've got what they need right now.
They're still gonna sell. It's the Mets. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But
Bo
also,
Bichette,
it's in a non-competitive division too. Is also the important thing. Like
that's true.
that. Like
Though,
sure,
do not sleep on the Braves this year.
The
The
Marlins.
Phillies,
The Braves.
yeah, no, I think the Braves are going to be real contenders this year, possibly fighting for the division with the Phillies and the Mets. With those stacked rosters that the Phillies and the Mets have, and I'm acknowledging, I think this division is not horrible, Josh. I think this is one of the best divisions in the entire league. The Phillies and the Mets have Phillies and the Mets have stacked rosters, Josh. Let me just say this: Phillies and the Mets have stacked rosters. The Marlins, I don't think that the Marlins are going to do anything. I think the division's too good for that. And that's
I'm high on the Marlins actually.
I would like to hear your input on that in a second. The Nats will obviously finish in fifth next season. Not hoping for that, but that's my prediction. But the Braves have a really interesting roster, and they still got guys people are sleeping on. People always forget Austin Riley. I don't know why that name just slips people's heads. That guy's incredible. Acuna's obviously great, but they're really building the young guys in that system. Michael Harris is really good. So I'm really excited to see what the Braves can do. But let's hear your Marlins take, Josh.
I mean, they're like a pesky team, It's like they're not gonna go away, and I think that does come in part. They have a youngish team. I'm big on Xavier Edwards, quick infielder, Otto Lopez. You've got some guys, and I've always kind of had a little bit of a soft spot for the Marlins. It doesn't make sense because they're in our division, but they've never gotten in our way, I feel, And so I think they were close to 500 this year. I think they ended 2 or 4 games under, or at least at one point they were above 500 later in the season. So I would look to see a little bit of progression from them. Obviously, I want every team in the NL East except the Nats to do terribly, but at the end of the day, it's not going to happen. And if a team has to step up and be good, I'd like it to be the Marlins. Stutter Step here says the Phillies didn't make any moves, and that pissed me off. Well, they've got a great formula to make it to the NLCS. The formula there, flawless. Once they get to the NLCS, or in Orion Kirkring's case this year, the NLDS, not good. Marcell Ozuna to the Nats. Could be a clubhouse presence and a nice power bat. Yeah, the Nats need power. God, they need power.
I wouldn't argue with the Marcell Ozuna move.
Unless we gave up multiple prospects for it that could be good. Because in that case, I'm 1 or 2 year rental for our future, not having it. But if it was just Marcell Ozuna traded for Cole Henry or something, I'm yeah, let's do that. I like Cole Henry, though.
No, he's a free agent.
Oh, he's a free agent.
I don't think we're gonna go. I don't see the Nats go out and get Marcell Ozuna. He's probably gonna go to somebody else. But that is kind of the guy that we need, more of that veteran presence in the outfield to go along with these young players who definitely need developing. I think every single one of them, even James Wood, even Dale and Lyle, who both showed sparks last season. Obviously, Dylan Cruz needs it, and Jacob Young, who's definitely a little bit older than those guys, also needs it. So I think you definitely need to go get a veteran presence in the outfield to go along with those guys, in my opinion. So I'm not going to see Marcell Ozuna, but somebody like that.
Yeah, Stutter Step back with Marlins can make wild card race interesting. Not saying they'll make it, but they'll be in the mix. They kind of remind me of 2 years ago where the Reds were. The Reds are one of those teams where when they went against the Dodgers first round, it's they're not going to beat them. But they're just a good 500 ball club. It's fun to watch.
But the Reds upset me because they keep developing great players, and they have these players. They get injured, and then they always at the end fighting for that wild card spot and can never get in the playoffs. These Reds, figure yourselves out because you have great players. You always develop these great prospects, and then you just find nothing to do with them. Never make the playoffs, never do anything, and it's upsetting. Matt McClain, obviously, me and Josh both love the kid. He keeps getting hurt. Hopefully he can stay healthy this year. But yeah, they got a lot of great players, man.
They got Ellie De La Cruz, yeah. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Talking about Marcelo Zuna, now that I see he's a free agent, what do you guys think is the likelihood out of 10, you could throw in the chat, that Marcelo Zuna is going to land on the LA Dodgers roster by the end of this offseason? Because I don't know if the Dodgers would go for it because, like,
No.
well, there's no world for the Dodgers. They're too stacked. But I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, what's that chance? I
think
would
it's
put it
pretty
at a
low.
20% chance. I would say
I think
20%.
I think it's lower. I don't see him going to. There's really. I was just looked at Marcelo Zuna. Looked at some articles. Really, they're saying there's no market right now for Zuna. Nobody really wants him for the price that he wants to go at. Someone's projecting maybe him go to the Cleveland Guardians. I think that's something more realistic. Something that he could maybe the Reds. They're a team
Him,
like that.
if he went to the
But I,
Guardians, him and J Ram would go back to back all the time.
Yeah, but I just don't see him going to more of like a contender like the Dodgers. They're not willing to pay that money right now. I mean, the Dodgers are willing to pay any money, but nobody's really seeming to answer what Ozuna wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's speculate a little bit more now that we're just kind of looking ahead to the future. Where do we think Paul Skeens is going to land once his contract is up with Pittsburgh? Or will he get traded? I think it's Pittsburgh's best interest. Flip him at a deadline. You're not
No,
competing.
I
Get
think he'll be
something
a
for him.
Pirate. I think he'll be a Pirate. I think they're going to re-sign him. I
Oh,
think
for real?
they're doing something with their rotation. They really are. They went and got some top pitching prospects in the draft. What's his name? The guy they got, the high school guy, he throws like 102 or something. Now they have Paul Skeens and him back to back in the rotation. They're really doing something. I think the Pirates, they have a long way to go. They're kind of like the Nationals. They have a long rebuild to go. But if they can start getting their bats together, their pitching can be incredible with a 1-2 punch right there.
That is true. But do you think Paul Skeens wants to stay on the Pirates, especially when there's not going to be offensive support for him?
Oh, they have Bubba Chandler, and that wasn't the guy they got. They went and got Seth Hernandez, but they have Bubba Chandler and Seth Hernandez along with Paul Skeens. That pitching rotation is incredible. Just they also have Hunter Barco, who's another great left-handed pitcher prospect. Their pitching prospects, their farm system right now with pitchers is incredible. I don't want to see Paul Skeens go. To me, he didn't look happy this season, and everyone saw that. But to be honest, does Paul Skeens ever look happy when he's playing?
No, they could be like, Paul Skeens, you just won $1 billion and the Cy Young Award. He'd be like, all right, well, I'm going to wake up early tomorrow and probably go work out and then train right afterwards.
Yeah, he doesn't show much emotion, so it's kind of hard to see what he wants to do. But I do see him as kind of like a loyal guy, in my opinion. So if the Pirates give him the money, I don't see that he's going to say no to that. But it's a matter of fact, will the Pirates be too cheap, like Stutterstep is saying? Because the Pirates have shown to be cheap in the past. But they have money, and I'm excited to see what this Pirates rotation could be like in the future. And I hope he stays with the Pirates, unless he comes to the Nats. Obviously, I would love that. But I want to see a loyal guy. I want to see someone stay in the system instead of just flop around.
Absolutely.
And if he leaves, he's probably going to go to the Dodgers, the Mets, or like the Blue Jays,
Kill
or the
me.
Phillies. So I mean, so
Kill me.
or the
If
Red
Paul
Sox,
Skeens
or
ever
the
wears
Yankees.
Dodger blue, kill me.
Yeah, he's gonna go one of the rich teams
Don't
that nobody
actually,
wants
'cause
him.
it could
Nobody wants him to go to. So I'd like to see him just stay with the Pirates.
Yeah. And if that does happen, don't actually kill me because it could happen. But I wonder if Ethan is still around here. We got a quick Caps question, and Ethan was begging for some hockey content. Before we get right into that real quick, I just wanted to say again, thank you guys so much for hopping on with us tonight. We love the community we're trying to build. We have big visions for Dingers and Dashers. You know, this is not just, going to be a podcast that fizzles out. This is going to be hopefully a presence within the community of the DMV. If there's anyone you know who would like this podcast, please share it with them. We're really early on, but you guys are our day ones for real. Trying to build this community here centered around our favorite sports teams. Stutter Step meets Matt. I've seen you guys in the chat. Daniel Levine, welcome really to the community. I didn't recognize the name from any of our comment sections or anything, but for real, brother, so good to have you on board here. We're so happy about that. We got a lot of great content loaded up for you guys. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, TikTok, subscribe on YouTube right here where you're watching. And we just want to say thank you really from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. It means a lot. The next couple of weeks, we're going to be ramping up the reels, ramping up the shorts, ramping up the content for all you guys. me and Josh just graduated high school, so it's big news for us, and we're definitely going to get you a lot more content now that we're done with homework. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's move into this quick Caps comment. Caps, do you think the Caps should mix up their offensive lines, or do you think the lines as it is now working? I'm not going to go too much into this because if I think about the Caps, I'm going to scream. But I think it's kind of mixed. I think to an extent some of the lines have been working and some haven't. The line I'm really high on, whatever that line was, like the Wilson, Protus, no, not Wilson. It was Will. God, what was the line? It's been so long since Wilson played.
The one they just
The
did?
second, no, not that, because Wilson's now going to be back.
Are you talking about Wilson? You're talking about Wilson, McMichael, and Protus?
And Protus, yeah, or even, yes. That
No,
line,
it was those three, yeah.
It was those three, and then what they were clicking, because Wilson is, God, he's good this year. And then I like the line that has, Leonard, Lapierre, Milano, and I know they haven't been.
I also want them to go back to and try Bavillier, Strom, and Ovi. I know that wasn't.
Oh my God, that line's so good. Last year,
go back to it because they're mixing it up a lot. Go back to it.
So no, that line is good, and I know Carbs put that out. Put that out the other day. That line on the ice, but yeah, last year, and I see Danny said don't really follow hockey. We could talk baseball all night if you would like to. But hopefully, we can immerse you into hockey a little bit on this channel. That line last year in the playoff series of those three forwards was amazing when they put them out there on the. Don't tell me that stutter step. Only team to lose the Canucks in 2026. Don't tell me these kinds of things. But
that was a bad loss. We haven't talked about that yet, but that was a bad loss.
I don't. Josh. Yeah, I can't think about that right now. Ethan, thank you so much for hopping on. Good luck at your practice. We love you, brother. Thank you for being part of our community. But yeah, that line back to the Leonard, Lapierre, Milano line, those are three young guns. They're not fully proven. I know Ryan Leonard has a little bit more. He's got a little bit more credibility.
Look to Leonard to lead that line, though. Look to Leonard to lead that line.
He's got more credibility, but what I will say is, even though they're not scoring goals every night, every time that they're on the ice, it turns into an offensive shift for the Caps. Their speed and their dynamics can work so well together to throw the other team off kilter, and then you could throw out something like, Adam, just close your eyes. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine this line gets thrown out to the ice. Pierre-Luc Dubois, Justin Sourdif, and Tom Wilson. Open your eyes. Yeah. That's better than Ovi's Great Crunch.
Yeah, I just felt something, Josh. I've really felt something because when I had that bite of Ovi's Great Crunch in that ASMR video,
go check that out, by the way.
Go check it out. My eyes were wide open. We're gonna get you more cereal content. Don't worry. I know a lot of people have been asking for more ASMR, but my eyes were just widened, and that happened again, Josh. I love the. Sorry, a lot's going on right now. I love the Washington Capitals, and I want to see Pierre-Luc Dubois back. I want to see these lines firing on all cylinders because what's going on right now, losing to the Nucks, is not pretty.
That's terrible for the Caps. Back over to the baseball side of the podcast. Wondering any other things that we should discuss, any other takes. Adam and I are planning on soon, in a couple of weeks, doing kind of one of those ask us anything live streams where we could talk all things that you guys would want. Let's see. Looks like Stutter Step is having. Sorry, a message came through the chat that YouTube gave me the option to show it or hide it, and I had to hide the message. But
do you want to share with us what the message was, Josh?
It just looked like you were having a really, really visceral response to that line. Is all I'm gonna say.
All I'm gonna say is the Capitals make me happy, and I love the Washington Capitals. I hope they do better this season. Let's go Caps. I gotta study for my last final, Josh. I got a lot going on.
Absolutely. So real quick, we're gonna just answer one more question that came here in the chat, and then Adam will go study for his final.
I appreciate
tomorrow.
it, guys. I want to be here all night. I would love to talk to you guys for hours and hours and hours, and maybe one day we'll do a long live stream where we talk to you guys all night. But tonight, I gotta study for finals. No, maybe I would just stay on here. If you guys have more questions, I would just stay.
If there's more
But let's
questions, we're
get
happy
into
to
our
stay
question.
on. But absolutely, if you guys ever want to talk, engage with us, you can send us an email, dingersanddashers@gmail.com. Whatever you send, we'll talk about it on that week's episode of the podcast. We're going to go live more often. You really get to hear your takes. And also, Adam and I go to these games, too. We'll go to Caps games. We're going to go to hella Nats games over the summer, too. We're going to be there a lot.
They're dirt cheap.
Dirt cheap right now. So we're going to be going to those games a lot. And we're going to hope to see you there. Danny, it would be awesome to meet you. So we were asked for early division winner predictions for the MLB, and you guys can throw it in the chat too, whatever you guys think. Let's run down just the NL real quick. NL East, I'm going to go with the Phillies. NL West, I'm going to go with the Dodgers. And the NL Central, I'm going to say the Brewers. They could do it again.
Okay. I'm going to go Dodgers.
But the Cubs maybe. Brewers, Cubs.
I'm going to go Dodgers, Cubs, Braves. I'm going to have the Braves in the division. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to go in that division. I'm going to go Braves, Phillies, Mets. Both Phillies and Mets will make the playoffs, though. That's in my opinion.
Okay.
I think the division's going to be really good.
Let's go to the AL. Oh my God, the AL East is tight. That can go. Because you're like, oh, it's got to be the Blue Jays. Be like, no, but it's got to be the Yankees. But it's like, whoa, but the Red Sox have a great roster right now. It's like, well, Gunnar Henderson could have a career year, and it won't be the Rays.
Don't sleep on those Rays, the Junior Caminero boys.
I'm gonna sleep all over the Rays, and if I'm proven wrong, so be it. Oh God, it's tough to predict the AL. I'm gonna go as of right now. I'm gonna put.
Go ahead.
For the East, help me out, chat.
I'm gonna go.
Who's winning the AL East?
I'm gonna go Blue Jays. I'm gonna say they're gonna run it back. However, there's a big question mark there. I think their pitching is gonna be outstanding, and I think that division, every single game within division is gonna matter. And that pitching is gonna dominate the Yankees and the Red Sox, in my opinion, who obviously have great bats and are great teams. I think it's gonna be a close division all year. Could fluctuate. I think any one of those three could win it, but I'm gonna go to the Blue Jays right now.
I think I'm gonna go with Blue Jays or Red Sox. I'm not gonna be able to pick one right now. Going over to the Central, I think the Guardians could really do something there. A little bit of power vacuum, but especially let's say they get some guy like Marcelo Ozuna. But I think the Guardians have a lot of good pieces right now. Very sad to see Lane Thomas go from that team. Lane Thomas is maybe my all-time favorite MLB player, but they'll still be okay.
Why does that division always suck? What's wrong with that division?
But the Guardians are good. They still have Quan too. They got things going.
For me, it's either the Guardians or the Royals. I want that Royals team to be good so bad because they have a great roster and they can really get it done.
Too.
But there's just something not working. But I'm gonna say I'm not too high on the Guardians in my opinion, so I am gonna go with the Royals.
And then going west, give me Big Dumper Cal Raleigh and the Seattle Mariners to take the whole thing, and they're not gonna be the best team in the AL, but be a top 3 AL team. Not like the entire AL East has a better record, but we're in the playoffs because we're in a different division. No, the Mariners are gonna be sensational this season, but Cal Raleigh is not gonna hit as many home runs.
All right, so that division actually is really interesting. Okay, because I'm actually not going to go with the Mariners. I think they're going to have a good year, probably make the wild card, but I think they're going to have some struggles throughout the year, so I think they're not going to win the division. I could go with the Astros. I could go with the Rangers who just got Mackenzie Gore. But the Rangers that have a lot of question marks. Yeah, I'm going to go the Astros. Astros definitely have question marks as well, and they're a team that struggled at the end of the season. Should have won the division, but the Mariners got in a hot streak and they ended up winning it. Healthy Jordan, it's just the Astros always win, man. It's just hard. It's hard to pick against the Astros, so I'm gonna go the Astros. But I could easily see the Mariners or the Rangers winning that division.
Hey Adam.
Yeah, Josh.
Guess which year the Astros didn't win?
2019.
Yup. Run it back. Bring back Adam Eaton. Bring back everybody. Brian Dozier, Daniel Hudson. Let's run it back. No, don't do that. Don't kill the rebuild. We're almost no, we're not almost there.
We're not almost there, but hopefully.
We're like we're better than day 1.
Day 2.
Day 4.
I'll give you day 4.
Looks like that will bring us to the end. Thank you guys so much, for real. Thank you for being part of this community. We're going to make sure to get you a ton of content. Contact us. Be part of us. Hit us up on Instagram. Hit us up anywhere you could find us. We love you guys so much. Thank you all for watching. Once again, I've been Josh. That's Adam. And this was Dingers and Dashers Live.